This is Get Real with Bob and Stacy, the show that helps you learn about the mortgage and real estate markets. Get the inside scoop from their expert list of guests and have some fun along the way. Now, here's Bob Gallagher and Stacy Alcorn.
Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real with Bob and Stacy. You're joining us for our Leaders and Legends segment, and our first guest today is David Carlson, author of Hustle Away Debt. Welcome to the show, David.
Thanks for having me.
So let me give everybody some background on David. He is the founder of the personal finance blog Young Adult Money, which Forbes called a must-read for millennials. Young Adult Money is focused on helping those in their 20s and 30s make more, save more, and live better. Forbes magazine has called Young Adult Money one of the best websites for people looking to get their finances in check. David currently works in corporate finance at a major U.S. corporation. He is also author of the book Hustle Away Debt, Eliminate Your Debt by Making More Money. So first, tell us what made you start the blog and eventually write a book as well.
Yeah, I'd say what really motivated me to start the blog was mainly my wife and I, we graduated with about $100K in undergrad student loan debt. Wow. So just having that drag on our finances really impacted our lifestyle, some of our future dreams that we wanted to pursue. So starting the blog was really my way of creating a space to write about our journey of paying down that debt, helping others who are in a similar situation as student loan debt becomes a bigger and bigger issue across the country.
Okay, and in your book you talk about how to use side hustles in order to develop new ways to pay down debt and to earn income. First, explain for old people like Bob what
Thanks, Stace.
What a side hustle is.
Yeah, a side hustle is really any way to make money in addition to your 9-to-5 income. So the reason why I personally kind of focus my blog and my personal finance writing around side hustles is because, like I said, with student loans, a spending issue, it's debt that you have to pay off. So there's only so much that you can cut out of your spending before you have to look at the other side, your income. And a lot of people, when they graduate college, they're either underemployed, not even working in the field that they got their degree in, or they're entry level, so they're not making that much money, relatively speaking. So with side hustles, it really gives you a proactive solution, a proactive option to increase your income, pay off your debt faster, and get in a better financial position.
Okay, and I know in your book you kind of segment all the different ways that you can create this side hustle. So give us some examples of, for example, a cash side hustle or an online side hustle.
Yeah, so the cash side hustle I call quick cash side hustles, and really those are meant for people who you need the money ASAP. Either you're spending more money than you're making, you're in, buried in credit card debt, something like that, where you really need to start a side hustle that is going to create consistent, predictable income quickly. So that could be something simple like working at the YMCA on Saturdays, which is something that my wife did for the first couple of years out of college, or perhaps being a waiter or waitress or a bartender, something like that, something tangible, something where it's more of kind of a second job than anything. But then the online side hustles, that kind of opens up a lot more small business, entrepreneurial, or, something that maybe you can build over time, and it's more flexible, more freelance-based, but you might not necessarily make money the first month or even the first few months. It can take a while to build towards it. But online side hustles obviously are very popular because of the flexibility they allow.
Oh, okay, and you also talk about small business side hustle or self-employment hustle. So are you saying that, say, somebody like you who's in corporate America to go start a side business as well?
Yeah, and when I think of side hustle, I really think of what your personality is. If you're entrepreneurial, if you're drawn towards that, you're much more likely to succeed at a small business side hustle, and probably would be the best side hustle for you to pursue because you have interest there. Your 9 to 5 probably isn't feeding towards your entrepreneurial pursuits, and there's a lot of upside in those side hustles. But if you need that consistent income, maybe you want to start paying off your debt faster, maybe you do look at one of the more self-employment side hustles, which can be a little bit more predictable than, say, a small business one where there's no guarantees of actually making money. So perhaps you freelance write, or one thing that's becoming very popular for millennials is either walking dogs or dog sitting, house sitting, things like that you can find through sites like rover.com or care.com.
That's a pretty cool way of making money.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome. So I think,
and actually, go ahead.
I was going to ask, like in your book, do you talk at all about mindset? Because I think especially when you come out of college, you have all of this massive amounts of debt. You get a job, you're earning income. One of the hard things is, in addition to making extra income through a side hustle, now it's a time in your life where you want to buy a house, you want to get married and spend on a wedding, you want to go on vacations. So how do you adjust your mindset to say, okay, I need to slow down and start paying off some of this debt?
And I think that, it all kind of ties together because let's say you don't have any debt, side hustles can still benefit you because you can reach those financial goals faster, whether it's saving for a down payment on a house, saving for a wedding, things like that. But I also think that side hustles can allow you to potentially live as if you don't have debt. For example, in my case, our minimum student loan each month was $1,000. So every single month we knew we were going to pay at least $1,000 towards student loans.
Wow.
Now, I personally wanted to, live as if my income wasn't going towards that. So that's actually why I started side hustle, was to offset those payments and then go from there. So I actually look at more of a balanced approach. I don't think eliminating your debt entirely needs to be the absolute number one priority, but maybe increasing your income to offset that debt so that you do have extra cash flow to, save for a wedding, pay for a wedding, go on a vacation, things like that.
Wow. And do you have any advice for people that, first of all, it's interesting because we're in the real estate and mortgage business, and I read articles saying that a lot of millennials are more interested in renting than owning a home. But do you have any advice on your blog for people about whether they should rent or buy? And if they are going to buy, how to save for that?
Yeah, we have a few articles on that, and we've touched on it quite a bit. When it comes to renting versus buying, personally, I think it ends up coming towards personal preference, or honestly, whether you even have the income and the financial ability to buy a home. So a lot of things come into play because emergencies can come up. When my wife and I bought our house, within the first year, we had our basement flood, and then the sewer drain out collapse.
Wow.
So two big disasters that potentially could cost, thousands and thousands of dollars to fix. And that's just, two examples of things that you might not even think of. No one thinks of their sewer drain out pipe collapsing. So it's important to have that money set aside. And again, always going back to side hustles, I think that having a side hustle can help you build up that emergency fund, build up that down payment towards a home, and put yourself in a position to do that.
Right. Interestingly, in my business, I have a large real estate company, and many real estate, especially younger real estate agents, get into the business as a side hustle, saying, all right, I need to make some extra income, so I'll work rentals on the weekends, or occasionally I'll sell 5 or 6 houses a year. And then it eventually develops into a full-time career for them as well.
We actually had somebody on the show that started out exactly like that. he started in real estate as a side hustle to come up with the money to go to law school. And that was 20 years ago. Now I think he makes about $2 million a year selling real estate.
Right.
Wow.
So I guess it's kind of cool to think about side hustles turning into a career.
Right.
Yeah, and that's something that I hit on quite a bit in the book. I think that side hustles can kind of help you pivot your career if you're in a field that you don't necessarily want to be in. For example, if you want to get into marketing, content marketing is pretty huge right now. Well, how do you prove to a corporation that you're able to do it when your background's in something totally different? Maybe it's operations or finance. Actually, starting a content website, learning about content marketing and practicing it, that gives you the examples you need to put on your resume to actually get the interview and potentially convince an employer. And I think that the potential for a side hustle to turn into a full-time career or a full-time, self-employment business, that's a big reason why people do pursue side hustles. I'd say for me personally, if you're entrepreneurial leaning and you want to potentially start a full-time business and not do it on the side, the best thing to do is just to get started on the side, even while you have that consistent full-time income. It's not easy to do because you really have to manage your time properly. You're going to be sacrificing a lot of your free time to pursue whatever side hustle you choose. So making sure that it's something you're passionate about and making it work with your schedule is two really important points.
Wow. So for anybody just tuning in, we have David Carlson. He is the author of Hustle Away Debt, Eliminate Your Debt by Making More Money. And he also has a personal finance blog called Young Adult Money, which Forbes has called a must-read for millennials. Where can people find a copy of your book or learn more about you?
They can find the book on Amazon. Just search Hustle Away Debt. Should be the first result. And then you can head over to youngadultmoney.com if you want to hear more about millennial personal finance, tips on how to save more, make more, and live better.
Great.
Do you have any tips for, say, people that are, or real young people that haven't actually started college yet, or maybe they're in the early stages of college?
Yeah, like don't go.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, you look at what you have to pay for college. I mean, it was expensive when I went, although not as long ago as Stacy would have you believe. But you look at what you have to pay today and what you come out with as far as skills, and then you go out into the marketplace and try to get a job. I mean, you go to school, you spend $50,000 a year for school. You come out having spent $200,000. God only knows how much of it's debt, and now you're getting a job for $35,000. I mean, it just the numbers just don't work anymore. In my opinion,
it's really
I'd like
difficult. Yeah, no, I would agree, and I think that unfortunately, even though student loan debt's gotten more focused the past 5 years, tuition increases have gotten a lot more focused. If you look at the numbers, it's really troubling. Despite all of that, I do think that people continue to go to college and they continue to pay those high tuition bills to get a college degree, and I don't necessarily see it changing. I guess if I could go back and make a different choice or encourage someone who's maybe in high school to make a different choice, community college actually could be a really good option, going there for a year or two and then transferring into the school that you want to go to and have your degree from. That's worked out well, and I work with people who have done that. They started the same time as me. It's no different. They got the skills they needed. They paid a lot less, though. But also just comparing private and public schools, seeing really what the dollar differences is, and also not just looking at a single year, but looking at in totality, okay, over 4 years, how much am I going to end up paying? So you really want to make a wise choice there. And I think it's difficult because when you're in high school, and I think when you're a parent with a high school student, college is a very emotional choice for you, and you don't want to say no to your kid or tell them to not go to school that they're interested in. As a high school student, I honestly don't think a lot of times they're thinking about 5-10 years down the road where they're going to have all of this student loan debt. So it's a really tough spot to be in, but if you can take a step back, either if you're the student looking into colleges or you're the parent giving advice, and really factoring in the cost-benefit analysis. I think that can greatly benefit you long-term.
I'm totally telling my kid not to go to college.
Well, I mean, there's some. I guess there's some that make sense. Like,
Right.
obviously, if you're going to be a doctor or anything like that, you
Exactly.
need those skills. But you look at some of these kids, and I get some kids are skilled when it comes to art, and they want to pursue that. But can you imagine spending $200,000 a year to get an art degree? I mean, when you're getting out of school, there's no job you're going to get that's going to help you pay that back.
Even I went to law school and became an attorney in 2007. First of all, I'll say that I didn't go to a super well-known law school, so I went to a less expensive version of law school, but you take the same bars, and at the end of the day, you're still an attorney, just like the Harvard Law graduates. But I will say the statistics for graduating attorneys were atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, the average attorney in Massachusetts gets paid $35,000 a year. I mean, I didn't need it as a career because I was doing other things, but I'm like, imagine these kids that are racking up loans and getting out of school thinking they're going to be some big attorney and they get offered a salary of $35,000 a year. It's nuts.
It's not even enough to pay your student loan.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, crazy. Wow.
So I could see why your blog is, I mean, it's called Young Adult Money, but I think some old people like Bob should read some. So it sounds like it's for young and old people alike. Is that true?
Yeah, it's for young people and Bob as well.
Yes.
Now I'm getting it from all ends.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stace.
So thank you so much for joining us. Again, this was David Carlson. His blog is called Young Adult Money. Go check it out. His book is Hustle Away Debt, Eliminate Your Debt by Making More Money. Make sure you go to Amazon and pick up a copy of that. And thank you for joining us today, David.
Thanks, David.
Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this segment. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more Get Real after this.